Hi guys. Alright, let's get this mess started. Remember that there's a discussion forum after this. You can ask any extra questions you have. Also make sure that you write down any extra topics you're thinking about, because I'm going to try to do that in the first few weeks of kind of by right when school starts. Okay, so plane geometry, you're going to find that a lot of this is the Pythagorean Theorem. So make sure that you have a calculator out. It's my phone. By the way, this program that I'm using is called Wabbit, as in like Wabbit from Looney Tunes, Wabbit, and then MU. And then you can basically pick any type of TI calculator that you would like it to pretend to be. And it is, so that's nice. Of course, it doesn't work on the ACT, but you have to bring your own for that, or bring one from the school. All right, first one. Marco walks from his house to a friend's house by traveling 10 blocks north. So he goes this way for 10 blocks, and then 8 blocks east. Okay. If he cut across a field in a straight line, how far would it be? Okay, so the first thing I look at when I figure out these questions, because I know the Pythagorean theorem is coming up, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The two sides are a and b, and the diagonal, or the hypotenuse, is c. So first thing I do is I look at their answers. Do you see how these are on decimals? So I'm not going to bother trying to simplify out a square root if that happens. So I know that now. Okay, so a is 10 squared, or a is 10, and then a squared is 10 squared. And then this is 8 squared, and that equals, I don't know, squared. And this is 100, and that is 64. All right, now I know that 164 isn't a perfect square. It's going to be something. But if I take a square root of both sides, I end up getting D, 12.8. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I just realized I forgot to read all of the answers. So I'm going to do that now. It happens just a little bit later, my bad. So number 1 is D. Number 2 is H, like hippo. 3 is B, like boy. 4 is K, like kangaroo. 5 is D, like dog. 6 is J, like jelly. 7 is C, like cat. 8 is J, like jello. 9 is A, like apple. 10 is K, like kangaroo. 11 is A, like apple. 12 is H, like hot dog. 13 is E, like elephant. 14 is G, like giant. And 15 is C, like cat. All right, back to the math. All right, the diameter of a circle is 12 inches. What is this area in inches? All right, so the area of a circle is pi r squared. There's not a lot of formulas that you should know for the ACT, but this is probably one of them. If you just were to look up on a website, what formula should I know for the ACT, they'll give you just a couple ones that you should definitely know. A equals pi times. Now, a diameter is all the way across a circle, and a radius is only halfway across. So if the diameter is 12 inches, that means the radius is 6. So I'm going to put 6 in right there. I'm going to glance over here, see if there's a pi in the answer. There is not, so that means I'm going to take pi times 6 squared, which is 113.1. Which, by the way, is the only answer that really makes sense, because you wouldn't even have to put it in a calculator. 6 squared is 36, and pi is like 3 point something. So 3 times 36 is probably going to be about 113, and definitely not 37, and definitely not 335. All right, next up, it says that the measure of AC is 10, and then AB is that. What is the measure of this? Okay, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. They love it. So A is 10, and B squared is B squared, and C is all of, remember you got to put that in parentheses, that was a great question asked by somebody. Okay, so we got to square all of that. All right, so that's 100 plus b squared equals, the square goes to both, so 5 squared is 25. The square root of 13 squared is just 13. So it's kind of like, with these two specifically, the square, since it's the opposite of a square root, they just cancel each other out. So this is 100 Let's see, 25 times 13 is 325. Subtract 100 from both sides, you get 225. Remember, on a test, you would never show all of this work because there is no need to. The square root of 225 is 15. B. All right, what is the volume of the length, or the volume of the rectangular solid shown below? Well, this is the volume of a box, which is length times width times height. Not so bad. 5 times 4 times 3. By the way, if you're thinking, okay, she picked 5 for the length because it's the longest side, that's not true. It really doesn't matter. I mean, I could rotate the box and call the front the length, or even tip it on side and call this part the length. That doesn't really matter because you just multiply them all together. So that's 20 times 3, which is 60K. All right. 5. Area of a rectangle is 48 inches squared. Which of the following is a possibility for the perimeter? Interesting. Now, something that this test, when I was first taking it, I noticed that it really doesn't have enough information in this problem. What it should have said is that they're only talking about whole numbers, because these are all whole numbers. So realizing it's only talking about whole numbers makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, there's actually lots of different answers you could have, or ways that other things could be the answer. So if you start thinking about like a rectangle, two sides have to be the same. So let's do a little tiny example. That's 1 and 1, and 24 and 24. Okay. Oh, sorry. I meant 2 and 24. 2 times 24 is 48. Okay, so if it was 2 times 24 to get 48, then if you added all the sides together, you would get what? 48, 50, 52, which is actually the right answer. D, 52. That was just a random guess. But like, let's say you had done a different one. Let's say you had first said 4, because 4 goes into 48, and 12. Well, then if you took the perimeter and you added them all together, it would be, let's see, 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 12 is 20, makes 32, and 32 is not on the list. So basically they just want you to try out different sizes of rectangles, see what matches. All right, the area of a parallelogram may be found by using that formula. Yep. And that just explains what the formula is. What's the area? Okay, so basically they just want us to use this formula. That's area equals base times height. The base is right here, that's 11, and the height is this line right here, that one that's going perpendicular. In fact, that's why it defines it in the problem. So the area is 11 times 6, which is 66 inches squared. J. All sides of a rhombus are the same length as shown in the figure below. One diagonal is 12 inches long, and the other is 6 inches long. How many inches long is each side of the rhombus? Okay, so this is a hard thing to see. Let's see if I can draw it. I should have had a ruler out for this. But